I've been using the second generation AirPods Pro since September when they were launched, and this is my final verdict. I think it's fair to say that the AirPods Pro 2, as I'll call them, that's easier than second generation AirPods, but I think it's fair to say that these earbuds were the surprise Apple hit of 2022. They knocked everyone sideways, including yours truly. I genuinely wasn't going to review them, even though some people didn't believe me. However, at £249, they're still pretty expensive when it comes to earbuds, which is why you might be tempted to just buy the regular AirPods or something else. But in this video, I'm going to explain why I think these are one of the best investments you can make as an iPhone user. Right, before we get started, a quick word from today's sponsor. Yes, I know, but something needs to keep the lights on and keep the kid fed, etc., which is Casekoo, and more specifically, their Magic Stand iPhone case. This is a superb iPhone case in its own right. It only adds 2mm to your phone, which is great for starters, but it also has this, which is a little kickstand, and you don't know you need one of these until you start using it. I use this all the time to place the phone on the desk while I'm watching stuff during lunch, or if I'm working out, which I don't do. This is a fake piece of working out material, but trust me, if you do stuff like the way you need to put your phone somewhere on the desk, on the floor, and you don't want to prop it up against a book or something else where it's going to fall over, these little stands on these Casekoo cases are just brilliant. If you're worried about durability, this thing is rated to 30,000 openings, which is very reassuring. There's also a 48-piece magnet structure built into the case, so yes, your MagSafe accessories will still work with it. And there's loads of colours with new colours on the way all the time. I do like this see-through silvery type one that I've got here. It's very, very nice. And the best news is that I've worked with Casekoo to get you a 10% discount. Just check that link in the description. There were two things that knocked me sideways with the AirPods Pro 2 last year. The first one is the sound, which is just incredible. Now, the previous generation, which I conveniently have here, and which, yes, I did have my name put on, I have no idea why, they weren't a bad sounding pair of earbuds. They were just a bit meh, as the kids would say. But the latest generation of AirPods Pro are a completely different animal. They sound significantly better, so good in fact that a little while ago I compared them against the AirPods Max, which I'll put a link to above, has drawn as much criticism as it has praise, because people can't quite work out why you'd compare a pair of £550 over-ear noise-cancelling headphones against a 250 quid pair of earbuds. But the fact that I can even think about doing that based on sound quality alone says so much about these AirPods Pro 2. In terms of the sound, and without going into the weeds, because this is such a subjective topic, it's not worth arguing about, guys, they just sound so full. So the bass is very rich and very deep without being too overpowering. There's plenty of top-end stuff going on without it being too harsh. Across the entire EQ range, it's just fantastic. And more importantly, they handle pretty much any music you throw at them, and that's all you want from a pair of AirPods. They have to be really reliable, great performers, and I don't know how Apple has done this with this new version, but they are so noticeably better than the first one. The second knock me sideways moment with the AirPods Pro 2 was the noise cancelling and transparency mode. It wasn't bad on the first generation, but whatever Apple has done with that H2 chip has made a profound difference. When I did the comparison between these and these, I noted that particularly the noise cancelling on the AirPods Pro 2 in most scenarios is the same as what you get on the AirPods Max. Now that is an incredible feat, bearing in mind that these are over-ear headphones. They completely encapsulate your ears, whereas these are just earbuds. But again, that H2 chip makes a massive difference. There is one caveat to that. So if you're in a very windy environment, or if you're running down the street, the noise cancelling on these isn't quite as good as the AirPods Max. These also have adaptive transparency, which, if you don't know, is when you squeeze the stem of the AirPod and it momentarily lets in the outside world. And Apple is the king of this. I don't know what it is about their transparency mode, but when you compare it with the competition, it it's just streets ahead. The difference between the second generation and the first generation when it comes to transparency mode is incredible. In fact, it really does sound like you've got nothing in your ears at times. So when I'm walking around the house and I want to hear what's going on, if I put transparency mode on and don't have anything playing through these, it's like they're not in my ears. When it comes to taking calls on the AirPods Pro 2, it's an absolute godsend. Whenever I compare the AirPods Pro 2 to the competition, there's one thing I cannot look past, which is the Apple ecosystem. When it comes to living with these earbuds, it is the main differentiator, particularly if, like me, you've got an iPhone, several iPads, and several Macs. But more importantly, I think the AirPods Pro 2 have fixed some of the device switching issues that I had before. With the AirPods Pro 1, the whole idea of them automatically switching between your iPhone and your Mac and your iPad, etc., never really worked. Your mileage may have varied with this, but for me, they just kind of picked up the wrong device far too often. These don't. As for battery life, it's fantastic. I don't do detailed battery testing, guys, as you probably know by now, but I can tell you hand on heart that these last longer than these. And I think a lot of that comes down to the standby time. These just seem to have more stamina when left unattended compared to these. I just wish they had USB-C charging. This is one of the things that Apple did last year that made absolutely no sense whatsoever. We got a Apple TV 4K remote with USB-C charging last year. We've got Macs with USB-C charging. We've got iPads with USB-C charging. Yet the AirPods Pro 2, which also came out last year, still have Lightning. Now, I will not let them off that, but the one thing that does make it a little bit easier to bear is the case, which is brilliant. It's not a massive upgrade over the original one, but the fact that you get this cool little lanyard attachment thing is genuinely very useful. The fact it has a speaker, there we go. The fact it has a speaker built into it is useful for finding it and for knowing when it started charging. It's also water resistant to a certain degree. You wouldn't want to take it swimming, but you don't have to worry about it anymore if it starts raining. I didn't make a big enough thing about the case in my first review of these, so I will do now. This is a masterpiece. So what about the competition? There isn't any, really. Well, that's unfair. There is some competition. So if sound is your thing, if all you care about is sound, the Bowers & Wilkins PI7S2s are the best sounding pair of earbuds I've ever placed in my ears. But they have a huge case and a transparency mode that can only be turned on in the app, and they're £100 more expensive than the AirPods Pro 2. Then we have the Oppo Enco X, which are a fantastic pair of earbuds. They sound fantastic, they've got a great case, they're cheaper than the AirPods Pro 2, but the noise cancelling isn't very good. And then I've got a whole bunch here. I've got the Sony Link Buds, which are a very unique take and have a very small audience, I think. There's the Campfire Audio Orbits, which I've not even opened yet. The NeuroTrue Pro. If you want to see me review these, by the way, if you know what these are, let me know. I've got the Soundcore Liberty 3 Pro, the Mackie MP20 TW. There's loads of competitors for the AirPods Pro 2, but they always fall down somewhere. And this brings me on to an inevitable conclusion about the AirPods Pro 2. On the face of it, the AirPods Pro 2 are typically Apple. They're expensive. They're a little bit flawed in certain areas, like the Lightning connection here, and they tie you in, or at least they try to tie you in, to the Apple ecosystem. But nothing compares. These are the most convenient, apart from the Lightning thing, but the most convenient, best sounding for the price, just the most incredible performers when it comes to noise cancelling and transparency mode on the market. You can't get any better. Even if you have to save up a little bit longer to get yourself a pair of AirPods Pro 2, it's worth it. To the point where I don't think it's even worth thinking about the standard AirPods. And if you're curious to see how on earth I can compare a pair of earbuds to an expensive pair of over-ear noise cancelling headphones, keep watching for a link to that video.